Okay, so here's a video real quick of how you get the solutions for these problems. So I'm going to work them out here over on the left-hand side very quickly. Water bottle contains 1.5 liters of water. Approximately how many gallons of water does the bottle contain? So this is unit conversions or factor labeling, what we did in Module 1. So you've got 1.5 liters. You want to convert that to gallons, and it says 0.264 gallons equals 1 liter. Now the reason I do liter on the bottom is so that it cancels with this on the top. I'm going to multiply those two numbers, and when I do that on the calculator, I end up with 0.39. Okay, problem number 2, find the solution. So solving an inequality. So we have negative 2.5x plus 5 is less than negative 2.5. So I subtract 5 from both sides. So I get negative 2.5x is less than negative 7.5. Then I have to divide by negative 2.5 here. And since I'm dividing by negative, remember we have to flip our inequality symbol. So let's cancel. So that gives me x is greater than positive 3. All right, problem number 3. Sign this up a little bit. It says solve for t. So we have 4 times parentheses t minus 7 equals 12 minus t. We're going to do distributive. So that's 4t minus 28 equals 12 minus t. I'm going to add t here. Remember, there's a 1 in front of that t. So when I add that, I get 5t minus 28 equals 12. Add 28 to both sides. So that gives me 5t equals 40. Divide by 5. And then that's going to give me t equals 8. Okay. Number 4, Joe sold 15 t-shirts for a total of $82.50. What is the unit price? In other words, what does it cost per t-shirt? So all I'm going to do there is take $82.50, divide by 15, and that's going to tell me the cost per shirt, which gives me $5.50 per shirt. Okay, continue on. Let's go to the other side. So I'm going to work these on the right-hand side. It says the scale map of Texas shows that 1 inch represents 20 miles. So 1 inch is 20 miles. The actual distance from Austin to Dallas is 195 miles. So times 195 miles. On the map, how many inches are apart. Now, the reason I put that on top is because miles on the bottom, miles on the top cancel. That's going to leave my units in inches, so I'll multiply the top, which gives me 195. On the bottom, I'm left with 20. So if I divide that, that gives me 9.75 inches. Okay. Question 6, which of the following is equivalent to? Okay, so this is simplifying. So we have y squared minus 2 parentheses x plus 7y squared. So we do distributive property here. So that's y squared minus 2x. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14y squared. Then I simplify. These are like terms. Like terms. Remember, what's in front of this y squared is a 1. So if I take 1 minus 14, that gives me negative 13y squared minus 2x, which is this one. They just wrote it in a different order. Okay, keep going. Number 7. What best describes the solution? So we're going to work that out. So we have negative 2 is greater than 5x minus 37. Add 37. So that's 35 is greater than 5x. Divide by 5. and we get 7 is greater than x. I'm going to rewrite it so that my variable's on the left. So if I switch it all around, then I read that x is less than 7, which is C. Okay, number 8, write and simplify an expression to model the following phrase: 15% off the original price of a purchase. So the original price of the purchase I don't know, so I'm going to call that P. So I have the original price minus 15%. Remember, we changed that to a decimal. It's 0.15. So 0.15 off the original price. We did some problems like this in class. So remember, there's a 1 here. So if I simplify that, 1 minus 0.15 gives me 0.85p. But remember, you've always got to include the p here because we don't know what the original price was. The back page. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to work the left-hand side here. All right, this one says solve. So we have 1 1/3 equals y over 3 minus 9. First thing I do is add 9 to both sides. So if I do that, I'm going to change my mixed number to an improper fraction and then add it to 9. So you can do this on your calculator. That would be 4/3 plus 27/3, 31/3 equals y over 3. Then to get rid of the 3, I multiply since I'm dividing. When I multiply, those cancel, but those also cancel, and I'm left with 31. Okay, number 10, solve the inequality. 9 times parentheses x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 81. Do distributive here. So 9x plus 45 is greater than or equal to 81. Subtract 45 from both sides. 9x is greater than or equal to 36. Then divide by 9. And then I get x is greater than or equal to 4. Okay. All right, keep going here. Number 11. It's another unit conversion problem. The diagram shows an aerial view of the store. What is the area of Allen's store in square meters? Okay, so the first thing I need to do, remember to get area of a rectangle, you do length times width. So I have 215 feet times 45 feet. Okay, problem is it wants it in meters. So what I have to do is I've got to convert each of these to meters. So I'm going to take 215 feet and multiply that. It says 1 meter is 39.37 inches. Okay. But I have feet. So then what I have to do is I've got to change my feet to inches. Well, there are 12 inches in 1. Let me get rid of some of this stuff down here so I got more room to write. Sorry about that. There we go. So 12 inches is 1 foot. Now my feet cancel, my inches cancel. I multiply everything on top together. So 215 times 1 times 12 is 2,580. Multiply on the bottom, I get 39.37. If I divide that out, I get 65.532. Okay, so this 215 now, I've now converted to meters. So that's now gone, and this is now 65.532 meters. Now I've got to do the same thing with the 45. So I'm going to come down here, got 45 feet. This time I'm going to do it. There are 12 inches in 1 foot, and then 1 meter is 39.37 inches. So again, the inches cancel, the feet cancel, that's going to leave it in feet. Multiply the top, so 45 times 12 is 540. On the bottom, I'm going to get the 39.37. Then if I divide that, 540 divided by 39.37 is 13.716. So now back up here, this is now 13.716 meters. Now to get area, I'll multiply this width and length together. So if I take 13.716 times 65.532, then I get the 898.8 meters squared. So got to do conversions there. Give you a second to copy this down. So now I got to get rid of the work here, so I can see the next problem. Okay. So the next problem says, Candace paid her parents $45 for rent and divided the rest of her paycheck evenly into a checking account, a savings account, and a retirement fund. So a checking account, a savings account, and a retirement fund. Those are three things I divided it into. She put $192 into her savings account. So what I don't know is her paycheck. I don't know what that was. So what I'm trying to do is figure out how I get the $192 that I'm putting into her savings account. Well, I take her paycheck, which I called P. I subtract her $45 she paid to her parents for rent. Then I divide that by 3. Since there were 3 accounts I put it into, the checking, the savings, and retirement, and then that'll give me the 192. So that's how you write that equation. So translating a word problem to an equation. Then it says how much was Candace paid? What was her paycheck? So then we're basically just solving that equation. So I'm going to do that over here. So P minus 45 divided by 3 equals 192. So the first thing I do is I multiply by 3. So 192 times 3 is 576. So then add 45. And that's where we get the 621. All right, 13, solving. This is the rearranging formulas, 2.3. So here we've got T equals 25 plus 13.5 H minus 0.25 H. So these are like terms, so we're going to combine those. So that becomes 13.25 H. Then I've got to subtract 25 from both sides. Now on the left-hand side, the problem is you can't subtract those, so you just write T minus 25 equals 13.25 H. That's multiply, so the opposite of multiply is divide. So you divide by 13.25 on both sides, and then that's what we get over there. Okay, now let's go to the right-hand side over here. Okay, so here we've got -2, parentheses x plus y equals 7. We're trying to solve for y. So the first thing I'm going to do is distributive. So -2x minus 2y equals 7. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. Again, I can't add 7 to 2x because it doesn't have an x with it. So I get 7 plus 2x. Then I got to get rid of the -2. That's multiply, so divide by -2 on both sides. And then that's what we got up there. Okay, number 15, what are the terms? Well, it's just straightforward, so you can look at that. 16 and 17, use the table here. It says Allie bought 5 pounds of onions. Okay, 5 pounds of onions. Now, what do onions cost? Onions cost 96 cents per pound. So what I have to do is I've got to multiply 5 times 96. When I do that, that gives me 480. Okay, X pounds of squash. X pounds of squash. So squash is 79 cents per pound. So that's where that comes from, 0.79 times X. And then Y, ears of corn. And corn is 75 cents each ear, so it's 0.75 times Y. So it says write an expression that represents the total amount Allie spent, so you have to add all those together. Okay, the second part of that, question 17, Serena bought Z pounds of squash and twice that weight of potatoes. Okay, so if she bought, I'm going to do squash in red over here. So squash, she bought Z pounds. Okay, so potatoes, it says she bought twice that amount. So that would be 2Z pounds. Okay, write an expression that represents the amount Serena spent on produce. Okay, so now what does squash cost? Squash costs 79 cents per pound. So that'd be 0.79 times Z. Plus, she bought potatoes. What do potatoes cost? 45 cents. So 0.45 times 2Z, because she bought 2Z pounds of that. So if I multiply that, that becomes 0.79Z plus 0.9Z. Those are like terms, so I add those, and that adds to give me 0.1 or 1.69Z. All right, then number 18 says solve. Okay, so going back to our notes for this compound inequality, one of the things I told you, when it's together, it's an and, but when I solve, I'm going to split it up. So that and, I'm going to slide this over a little bit further here, and then x plus 3 is less than or equal to 4. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. That's going to give me negative 5 is less than x, and subtract 3 from both sides here. X is less than or equal to 1. So if I put all that together with the variable in the middle, I get negative 5 is less than x is less than or equal to 1. So at negative 5, I put an open circle right here. At 1, because it's equal, I put a closed circle, shade between, and there's my solution.